Welcome back to the Flow Friday Sports Show here on Flow FM. We're having a look at the Northern Areas Footy Association with Spud McKay now. How are you, Spud? Good to speak with you again.
Pretty good, thanks, Dan. Yeah, been a pretty good week. The weather's nice and fine, and we've got a brilliant sunshine here at the moment, but we're looking for a little bit of moisture if we can get it.
I was going to say, you're not looking for a brilliant sunshine. You're looking for grey skies and lots of rain, and we're certainly hoping for it for you. Hasn't been enough really anywhere in South Australia throughout this year, so we'll continue hoping for a little bit more of that. But the Northern Areas footy players are probably hoping for a bit of sunshine and some nice dry ovals to play on as we barrel towards the finals. Still a few weeks to go, but let's have a look at the round 14 action. No real close games, but let's start out with Jamestown-Peterborough. They hosted Southern Flinders. We thought it was probably their best chance to get a win for the year. It wasn't to be, but it was nice to see a closer margin than what we have seen the last few weeks. Southern Flinders won it 12-15-87 to Jamestown-Peterborough 7-4-46.
Yeah, look, quarter time, we thought we might have been onto something because Jamestown-Peterborough got away to a really good start. Had 4-goal-1 on the board at quarter time to Southern Flinders 1-3, and they'd played a really good solid first quarter. Southern Flinders probably might have squandered a couple of shots on goal, but that was probably the end of it because injury sort of did affect them a little bit, and so therefore in that first quarter they'd used Nick Rinn in the centre a little bit, and he was really good and is a really good player, but unfortunately he did a knee a couple of years ago and he's still having a problem with that. So you can only do what you can do with the players available. Matt Spenceley was very, very good for Southern Flinders, and look, he would have to be some sort of a chance in the medal too, I reckon, in the male medal this year, because I've seen him in twice against Jamestown-Peterborough, and he should have got 3 in both of those games, and the other one which I didn't see, I think he was high up, and there's been a lot of games where he's been named their best that might have got only 2 votes. So it'll be interesting to see when we come to the medal count.
He is a name that you've been saying in a lot of recaps of Tigers games this year. He's often mentioned in the best players. So, yes, it will be an interesting count. Obviously, Southern Flinders haven't had too many wins this year, which might work against him. But, it's the male medal, not the Brownlow. So you just never know. We'll keep an eye on that as the season or when the season winds up. Let's get to this top of the table clash. Orroroo 13-11-89. They did it pretty easily over BMW in the end, who scored 7-8-50. So 39-point win for Orroroo. They'll be happy with that.
They came home very strongly. 5 goals in the last quarter, which sort of blew it out. And I know the coach from BMW, Alec Kanga, was not particularly happy with the effort of his players in that last quarter. But look, as I said last week, I'm not too sure whether they're both at full strength or, with the players missing and that. But come finals, it's a different ball game, so it doesn't really matter what's happened in this one. But it was just a good, solid win for Orroroo and takes them up to the top. BMW are still on the same amount of points, but their percentages probably it's almost the worst out of the 4 teams up in the top 4, I think.
It is, yes, by a very narrow margin. They're 0.03 behind Broughton Mundura's percentage, who are in 4th, and they're also a few behind Crystal Brook, they're all in the 56% band, so it's very close between all 3 of them.
Yeah. So anyway, Orroroo got the job done and got the 2 points, and BMW will have to reassess when it comes to finals as to how they're going to prevent that happening in the finals.
And I said Orroroo will be happy with that. That's probably a fair understatement because they haven't beaten BMW yet in 2 tries this year. They had 2 narrow losses earlier in the season, and with that win, they take top spot on the ladder, which, considering they are a lock to finish top 2 now. Crystal Brook and Broughton Mundura can't catch up to them, so it will be Orroroo and BMW first and second. It's just a matter of about what order, and for now it is Orroroo on top by percentage. And the reason Crystal Brook can't catch up is because they went down in pretty convincing fashion to Broughton Mundura. Both of these teams have been a bit inconsistent throughout the year, especially the Brook. It was Broughton Mundura 16-12, 108 over Crystal Brook 9-15, 69. Same margin as the Orroroo BMW game, 39 points.
Yeah, and Broughton-Mundura seem to have a bit of an advantage over Crystal Brook because of the fact that they beat them in the previous time they played them down at Broughton too. So I reckon Crystal Brook might have won the first encounter, but anyway, doesn't really matter. Broughton-Mundura seem to be coming along pretty well. I know they've still got a couple of players to come back, so that they will be better. One of those is Callis Freer, and he's a former male medalist from a couple of years ago. So that will make them even stronger, and Crystal Brook will need to have a look at what they can do to turn that around in the elimination final.
You're spot on. Crystal Brook did get a win earlier in the year. They actually won at Crystal Brook very convincingly. They won by 62 points, but that was all the way back in round 4, so it's obviously a different ball game by this point of the season. And considering they're now locked into playing each other in the first final, the 3v4 elimination final, it's not too relevant, that result. It'll be much more relevant what happens in a few weeks. But in the meantime, no games on this weekend, Spud. Everyone's getting a bit of a rest, which will be great for those that have been playing association games and other things and probably haven't had a chance to get much of a rest yet all year.
No, that's part of the reason for this bye, and it also happens to be Crystal Brook's annual show. So it works in pretty well. That was always a problem trying to program around where you had a couple of games played on that Saturday, and then Crystal Brook always played on the Sunday. It's been swapped around a bit, but I think this makes sense because it just gives your top players a bit of a break before they head into finals. So that's the reason that it's been done. But just on a couple of other matters there, Ned Bowman, who plays for Norwood now and he comes from Orroroo, has been invited to the 2024 AFL Draft Combine in Melbourne. So that's a big thing for him. And his dad, Lockie, played for Norwood also and was a centre-half back and played state centre-half back too. And when he came back to Orroroo, he kicked 127 goals for Orroroo in 2002, and he's the only player to have kicked 100 goals in a season in Northern Areas. There's been a couple of others that sort of got close to that. Daryl Chanouth from Broughton-Mundura had 96, and there was one other that Jamie Kemp from Crystal Brook. He kicked 96 also, but there's a fair bit of breeding behind Ned, and we wish him all the best when he goes over to Melbourne there. And I reckon he might have figured in a mark of the year there earlier in the season too. So, and the other one is Jed Dignan, the son of Matt Dignan, who won 2 male medals in Northern Areas, and was a really top player for Orroroo in that stage. And Jed played his first sample league game for North Adelaide on July the 27th. So he was able to play with Jamestown-Peterborough, Sam McInerney, and Campbell Coombe from Crystal Brook. So there's a bit of a Northern Areas content there in North Adelaide now. I don't think they quite got the win on that day, but that doesn't really matter. And as we know, Campbell Coombe, he had 3 male medals in Napa, and he'll be bound to come back and accumulate a few more, I reckon. So, yeah, that's just a couple of things that have happened during the week. And, they're strong names from Orroroo, the Bowmans and Dignans, so they'll sort of hopefully to have good careers for themselves and maybe end up back at Orroroo someday.
Love to see a couple of the local lads doing great things there, and I'll actually be at Norwood Oval to watch the Redlegs next Friday night, so I'll certainly be cheering for Ned Bowman in that one. No games tomorrow, Spud, so we'll check in again next week. Thank you very much. Enjoy your weekend off, and same goes for everyone around the association.
Okay, Dan, thanks for the call. We'll catch you next week.